June 2nd, 1972. A Western Airlines flight carrying nearly 100 passengers takes off from Los Angeles. Hours later, it's on the ground in Algeria, 7,000 miles away. Hijacked by two Americans with a fake bomb and a political agenda. The man, a decorated but disillusioned Vietnam veteran. The woman, a 20-year-old small-town girl turned radical. And then she disappeared. 50 years later, the FBI is still looking for her. This is the story of Marie Kerkow. June 2nd, 1972. Los Angeles International Airport. Marie Kerkow and Willie Roger Holder board Western Airlines Flight 701, bound for Seattle with a stop in San Francisco. It's a short-haul, routine flight, business travellers, families, college students. Holder carries a Samsonite briefcase. Kerkow smiles at the flight attendants, blending in effortlessly. But inside that briefcase is something that will change their lives forever. Wires, batteries, and fake explosives made to look deadly. What no one knows is that the couple is hours away from pulling off the longest distance skyjacking in US history. A flight that will take them and $500,000 in ransom all the way to Algeria. To understand how a girl from rural Oregon ended up on the FBI's most wanted list, we have to go back. Kathy Kerkow was born in 1951 in Coos Bay, a logging town surrounded by misty pines and blue-collar grit. She was quiet, athletic, and popular. A track star at Marshfield High, a churchgoer, an honour student. Her childhood seemed normal, but when her father left the family, Kathy started to drift. By 20, she left Oregon behind and moved to San Diego. She got a job at a massage parlour and embraced the counterculture of the early 70s Vietnam protests, psychedelic drugs, and civil rights marches. Then one day, there was a knock at her apartment door. A man she hadn't seen in over a decade was standing there. Willie Roger Holder was a tall, slim man with sideburns and a troubled stare. He'd served in Vietnam, seen things he couldn't forget. Got discharged for disciplinary issues. He was angry. At the war, at the government, at the country that sent him off to fight and forgot him when he came home. He reappeared in Kathy's life. It felt like fate. They realised they had met years earlier in Coos Bay, when Holder's family had briefly lived there. One of the only black families in town, the Holders were subjected to hostility and racism before leaving. Now, years later, Holder found himself in San Diego, disillusioned, isolated, and spiralling. Kathy became his lifeline, and he, in turn, pulled her into his world of radical ideas and paranoid dreams. Holder's plan started like something from a movie. Hijack a plane, demand the release of black activist Angela Davis, fly her to Hanoi, and take political asylum in North Vietnam. He called it Operation Sisyphus, a name that referenced the Greek myth of a man condemned to roll a boulder uphill for eternity. He believed freeing Davis would strike a blow against American imperialism. To Kathy, it sounded like revolution and romance. They spent weeks preparing. Holder built a fake bomb using an alarm clock and spare parts. They wrote out their demands, and on June 2nd, 1972, they boarded Flight 701. At 30,000 feet, Holder made his move. He approached a flight attendant with a note. "This is a hijack. I have a bomb." When he opened the briefcase, it looked real enough to fool the flight crew. In the cockpit, he calmly introduced himself to the crew. "I don't want to hurt anyone," he said, "but we need your cooperation." Holder demanded $500,000 in cash and the release of Angela Davis, who, at the time, was in jail awaiting trial for conspiracy and kidnapping. The plane landed in San Francisco. Authorities complied with part of the demand. They delivered the cash in duffel bags onto the tarmac, albeit without Angela Davis. Still, Holder and Kerkow let half the passengers go. The plane took off again, this time to New York, and more passengers were released. And then, after a change in plans, came the final destination, Algeria. A North African country that gained independence from France and had started granting asylum to revolutionaries and political dissidents, including members of the Black Panther Party. For 24 hours, the hijacking captivated the world. When the plane landed in Algeria, the couple was taken into custody. The ransom was seized, the bomb was exposed as a fake. But unlike in the US, Algeria didn't treat them as terrorists. They were processed and eventually granted asylum. The Algerian government returned $488,000 of the ransom to the United States, but allowed Holder and Kerkow to stay. The two then linked up with Eldridge Cleaver, the exiled leader of the Black Panther International section. The couple joined a community of American radicals living in exile. For a brief moment, they were revolutionaries. But paranoia crept in. In an interview, Holder said they believed government forces were hunting them. "We were afraid of being assassinated," he said. "We thought we were going to be next." By January 1975, Holder and Kerkow slipped out of Algeria and turned up in Paris under fake names. Levy and Janice fought. They were caught almost immediately. The US demanded extradition, but in a controversial decision, the French court denied it. The hijacking, they said, was a political crime, not a criminal one. And under French law, political offences were not grounds for extradition. They were free again, but cracks began to form. In 1977, Kathy told Holder she was travelling to Switzerland to secure more false documents. She walked out of the door, and she never came back. That was the last time anyone, friends, family, law enforcement, ever saw her. Without Kathy, Holder's mental health deteriorated. In 1986, he returned to the US and was arrested. He served 2 years in prison, then faded into quiet obscurity. In 2012, he died, alone, at age 62. The FBI has never stopped looking for Catherine Kerkow. In June 1972, they issued a federal warrant for her arrest on charges of air piracy. That warrant remains active. Over the decades, rumours have surfaced. Some say she stayed in France, hiding in expat circles. Others believe she escaped to Cuba or Switzerland. A few say she returned to the US under a new identity. In 2022, the the FBI marked the 50th anniversary of the hijacking by reposting her wanted poster online. But no solid leads have ever emerged. It's as if she vanished into thin air. Catherine Kerkow's story remains one of the longest-running fugitive cases in US history. To some, she's a criminal who endangered lives, participated in a dangerous crime, and escaped justice. To others, she's a symbol of resistance, a young woman who stood up to a corrupt system and disappeared before they could punish her. We don't know where she is or what became of her. All we do know is that a 20-year-old girl boarded a plane in 1972, took the world hostage, and disappeared into the shadows.
If you enjoyed this true crime story, don't forget to like and subscribe and let us know what you think in the comments. Want to watch another chilling tale from the underworld? Check out these other videos on screen.